If I could first take you back just a couple of years to the 30th anniversary of the release of Too Much Pressure. Did you envisage you'd go on to other projects, or were you just thinking of doing a tour to mark that anniversary?
No, basically we just did 2 shows. We did one in Belgium, the Sinners' Day Festival, which was a big, huge festival out there, and we did a big show in London at the Bloomsbury Theatre, which, just loads of people turned up to, old fans, new fans, all the rest of it. And we had such a great time that we thought, why don't we carry on? But it took a couple of months before we decided to do that, because what we didn't want to do was just fall into that trap to a certain extent of just being a heritage band with absolutely nothing new to say. It's not like, we don't like doing what we did previously. We do, and still that's a large part of the set. But I feel that any band worth its salt, and particularly for a band like us coming out of the two-tone movement, to not be saying something about conditions today would be pretty much sacrilege.
There's an awful lot of bands reforming, and they do tend to just sort of stay where they were, really, for want of a better expression.
Well, you're in a catch-22 situation, which has always got to be borne in mind, I think. I dare say a lot of these bands would like to be doing new material and would like to be putting stuff out. But once you're past a certain age, Radio 1's not going to play you, Radio 2 probably won't play you, and your outlets get smaller and smaller. Record companies aren't exactly queuing up at the door wanting to put this, material out, so it's much more of you do it yourself, and you get by in that way. But we embraced that whole thing and thought, this is how it was at the beginning, and why not start from there? It's what the Selector had to say back then is as unique today as it was then, because we've taken the whole of the two-tone message, really, and kind of pushed that, I guess, into, the second decade of the 21st century, and we're still beset by problems about racism, about sexism. We decided that the best way to go about that was really to promote the ideology, I suppose, of multiculturalism, because that really is what people have got to come to terms with and just get on with. And I think what string theory has done is it's kind of moved that even further. We're moving further afield now, and like doing the Coachella Festival in America and doing a tour out there in April. We were in Australia just before Christmas, and there's a lot of people all over the world who kind of want to hear those kind of messages and those kind of songs.
You mentioned the fact that a lot of bands stay in a certain place and it's difficult to get exposure. You did those 2 dates, back 2 years ago. You've been incredibly busy as a band. This is your second studio album, another tour. Where does that motivation come from to really try and sort of break back through?
I think the motivation comes from the fact that, one, we're doing it on our own terms. Pretty much we're pleasing ourselves at what we do. There's nobody breathing down our necks telling us what we have to record and what we don't have to record. And 3, I think we're very, very connected to the people who come along to our gigs. Gaps and I like to go out into the foyer before the show and sort of talk to people at the merchandise stand and after the show as well. And obviously having the autobiography out sort of in 2011 helped the whole thing, because that was very popular, certainly among the people who were into the band. People like to talk about that kind of stuff. And, as we get older, this may be the last opportunity to be able to do it. Get out there. You don't know what's around the corner. We'll miss any of these kind of things. So I feel, and I know that Gaps feels as well, we feel very privileged to be able to have this chance to truck all over the world, basically, and pretty much spread what we think should be being talked about, and certainly by two-tone bands.
Talking about that, going back to the early 80s, really, and the society in which we live in today, are you surprised or disappointed by the changes that have taken place?
Things change. Who could have predicted President Obama? I think that young people these days, they don't have those same kind of tribal things that we used to have. I think that they're, to a certain extent, much more of a level playing field, particularly in the musical world. People can make their own music, and it's on your iPod. You can have, some old jazz next to some old blues, next to a dubstep, next to whatever. And so people aren't quite so Catholic in their taste about anything anymore, and I think that's a good thing.
Do you think that that's actually translated into the audience that sees you live now? You've got the guys of a certain age, of which I would include myself in that.
Yeah.
You have got younger people that, that maybe perhaps the tastes are there a little bit more eclectic?
And those kids are always there. I mean, my taste was very eclectic when I was about, kind of 16 through to about sort of 25 or something like that. You could be listening to a whole load of different things, and it's like when they come along, I think they quite enjoy seeing, a band that still has something to say for itself. And the Selector is very unique in the fact that there's a male-female duo up the front, and that is unique to all the ska bands that are around, certainly around at our time. Therefore, it gives us more of a wide scope to be able to experiment with different sounds, different songs, and all those kind of things. And just the general interplay between us, I think people enjoy that. And young women, I think, quite like seeing, a woman up the front who knows how to handle herself and isn't some sort of X-Factor sort of fodder, that kind of thing.
Moving to the present and String Theory itself, I listened to the album literally yesterday, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. I was surprised by one or two of the tracks. Track 1, the Avengers theme, and also by a is it Dolly Parton cover?
No, Doris Day.
Doris Day, I do apologise.
Well, no, don't apologise to me, apologise to her.
Yeah, I've done that mentally.
Calamity Jane.
Yes. What inspired those choices?
Watching Calamity Jane one afternoon, taking the dog for a walk, and just thinking, I was up on the comet, thinking, I could sing that. I bet we could do a really good ska version of it. And then, of course, I discussed that with Gap Hendrickson. Then he came up with a whole kind of, the toasting section about Horseman Scaddy, and like this was a real kind of betting on a horse situation and stuff. And we just wanted to have some fun, and I mean, if you can't have fun with a Doris Day song, what can you have fun with?
Was that the motivation behind the Avengers theme as well? Because I did enjoy that, as it was a great intro.
Well, it's something that we've always done. I mean, we had the James Bond theme, obviously, and there was the Selector. I mean, we like to do an instrumental. And it was something, within the whole ska genre, not just in two-tone, but prior to that. I mean, the Scatolites often used to take television themes and work them into the band and do ska versions of them, and people do reggae versions. So it's really carrying on that tradition. And again, the Avengers, with the best team we like was obviously John Steed and Emma Peel. And again, it's that male-female thing, and it allows us to do that and celebrate those kind of things. And also there's a little bit of kind of, there's a bit of an avenging spirit in the Selector.
Plans for the future?
I think the main plan for the future is to carry on really as long as possible. The one thing really that we want to do is to be able to take the sound and to take the band to as many countries as possible. For us, it's all about live, and that's pretty much what I think that the music business, certainly for bands like us, that's what it's about, is live performance. And if people buy the record along the way, then that's really great.
I mean, I know you've just finished this album. Have you been working on material for a next, or are you just simply concentrating on the tour at the moment?
We're simply concentrating on this particular album, but we're always looking for sort of, new things to kind of either freshen up the set or certainly, thinking about what we're going to do next year. So that's pretty much, and also I'm trying to write a book at the moment, another one, so my first novel, so time is taken up.
And 20-date tour this time round, finishing in Coventry.
Yep.
How's that going to be, a gig in Coventry?
I hope it's going to be absolutely fabulous, to be perfectly honest. Tickets are going very, very well, and we haven't played Coventry for many years, actually. Last time we played near here, it was at the Assembly in Leamington, so I think there's a lot of expectation as to, what we've been doing, and hopefully it will be a great welcome home.
Thank you very much for your time, Pauline.
My pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing you at the Fleece on March the 1st.
That'll be great. Okay, we'll see you very soon then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.